Why is it so hard to get a job? Why does it take 6 weeks to hear back from someone? Why do all recruiters suck? Welcome to Let's Fix Work, everybody. I'm Laurie Rudiman. Today's guest is America's most famous recruiter, and that's not really saying much. His name is Tim Sackett. He writes, he speaks, and he has a new book coming out called The Talent Fix. He also happens to be one of my best friends. In today's episode, I pretty much make fun of Tim Sackett for being a blogger and now an author with horrible grammar skills. And we talk about what recruiting is and why it sort of matters. And we also talk about why most recruiters are lazy. Spoiler alert, they're just assholes. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Tim Sackett as much as I did, and I'll see you at the end to wrap things up.
Work is broken. So is the way you think about it. Host Laurie Rudiman is breaking things down so you can put them back together and make work something you can enjoy. Let's fix work together. With the Let's Fix Work podcast, here's Laurie.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let's Fix Work. I'm Laurie Rudiman, and I'm here with a very special guest today. He's the man, the myth, the legend, my dear friend, Tim Sackett. Timmy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I'm I don't know, beside myself with anticipation.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know, one of the nice things about a conversation with you is it's all improv. And we're here today to talk about fixing work and some key takeaways on how to make work better for everybody. But you have a new book coming out. Why don't you tell us about the book?
Yeah. So are you a goal person?
Well, I like to make goals and not meet them. Yeah.
So I've never been a goal person because of that. Because I know, like, if I set a goal, I would be like, yeah, I'm going to lose weight. Well, not really. I love cheeseburgers, kind of thing. And so December 31st, 2016, I made one New Year's resolution, which is I'm going to write a book in 2017. And then I said, I don't know, it's probably one of those things we start reading some stupid Instagram post of motivation or whatever and how to get something done. Who knows why it came up. And then I go, well, the only way I'm going to do this is if I actually work with somebody and they kind of force me to have deadlines, right? Because I'll meet deadlines. There's no doubt about that. And Sherm, had asked me to write a book. And so I sent them a note and said, okay, I'm in,
Wow. That's it.
And they're like, okay. And they said October 31st, Halloween day, we have to have the finished manuscript. And then they walk through steps and stuff on how to get all that done. And I'm like, okay, so I started writing, and got it done. And so it'll actually launch unofficially at Sherm Talent, which is in April at their conference, which is a great talent acquisition conference. And then officially, I always think officially, because to me, officially is when it's on the Amazon, right?
Yeah, that's all that matters. Jeff Bezos.
If my name's on Amazon,
yeah, it's true.
There. So I wrote the book, and the title is The Talent Fix, and it's the answer to the question that I get probably more than any when I talk to heads of talent. They'll come to me and they'll say, "Tim, like, we're broken. What would you do to fix us?" And it's the answer to that question. And there's this point of that where you go, that could be a million different answers based on what their issue is. And so I kind of took it from the standpoint of, if you hired me to come in right now and fix your stuff. Can we swear on this podcast?
Yeah, of course we could swear. I'm an E on the iTunes store. Come on.
If you came in to have you fix your shit, how would I fix it, right? What would I do? And I mean, foundationally all the way through to the point of, like, I'm going to help you get through and fire some of your crappy recruiters that you have on your team that aren't really recruiters, and kind of go through the entire process. So.
Interesting. I'm fascinated by this word fix because I've got it in the title of my podcast. You've got it in your book because we share a brain and we're buddies.
Yeah.
But the word fix is hot right now. So what is broken about the world of work and the world of recruiting that needs to be fixed? And does it need to be fixed or just changed? Right? Are we playing a semantics game?
There's a million different things that are broken in recruiting, but not every single one of them is broken for every single shop. So sometimes it's a simple fix of, hey, you have a technology kind of tech stack issue that needs to be fixed. Sometimes it's, you're not measuring the right things to promote the right behaviors. Sometimes your brand is an issue. Sometimes it's, sometimes it's leadership. And And Laura, you and I know a lot of the times this is simple performance management.
Oh yeah. Oh my
if
God.
we if we had leaders and we had talent leaders or HR leaders that actually knew how to performance manage teams, they wouldn't be broken.
Yeah.
Even if they
100% true.
even if they had bad tech, even if they didn't have a great brand, it wouldn't matter if you had people doing the right things. And yet we fail at that so often.
So, Tim, I think about all the things that you mentioned that could potentially be broken, and they differ for every HR organization, every talent organization, every company. Are there major themes that are broken at almost every single recruiting shop or HR shop around the country, around the world? Like, does everybody have crappy technology? Does everybody have a crappy candidate experience? Or they're like three things you can point to that need to be fixed straight away for everybody?
Well, I've never been a huge fan of candidate experience because it was a made up concept by consultants that
Yeah,
wanted
tell everybody what that is.
And so somehow along the lines, we felt like candidates had like this bad experience because there was all these great stories about somebody applied for a job and never heard a thing. And oh my gosh, that's so awful. But the reality is like, it wasn't necessarily that bad. I mean, candidates have super low expectations anyway. So apply for a job. Let me know you got my application or my resume. Let me know the job was filled. Let me know you're interested. Like there's like literally 2 or 3 touch points. If you can get those, like that's all they really care. And somehow we've created this entire industry where now we have to send candidates like fruit baskets and, make them feel good about themselves, even though they suck and they showed up, smelling of cigarettes and like liquor and, and like somehow that's our problem.
Yeah.
So
I hear you.
And I'm not saying that we should treat candidates bad. I never felt that way. To me, it's that golden rule of, you treat candidates like you would want to be treated as a candidate. And if you can do that, you're fine. You don't have to, blow it all up and spend all these resources and money and everything else for that kind of stuff.
So that isn't something that you would identify as broken and needs to be fixed in most companies, right? Because we're adults.
Well, no, but we people think it's broken.
Yeah, right.
And
Absolutely.
I don't think it is.
Okay. So are there like a couple things that are universally broken that need to be fixed?
Well, I'll say I said candidate experience because I really think the employee experience is broken, right? Which is another made up kind of concept that I can sell you if you want to give me $100,000, I'll come fix your employee experience.
But hasn't the employee experience been broken for so many years? When we all worked in factories, when we were all working out in the farm fields, just being an employee fucking sucks, right? Isn't that just the nature of work? So why is it that we think the employee experience needs to be better? Because it should be better? Because we deserve better? Or is it marketing? I don't know. You tell me.
I will say from an organizational success standpoint, those who are going to have a better employee experience are going to just be better at creating more value to the stakeholders, whether you're a public company, private, whatever, and whoever your stakeholders are, you have that ability because you're going to retain people longer. If you retain people longer, they're more effective. You don't have to keep hiring and training and going through that kind of vicious cycle downward. And for me, the entire employee experience is fixed if you just fix leadership and you teach leaders how to really be, I would say, a talent agent. And if you think, we love like pop culture, right? So if you think of Jerry McGuire and Rod and that relationship, if Jerry's the boss and Rod is the employee, all Jerry cared about was Rod performed at his best so he could make the most money, knowing that it was going to also obviously, be an advantage to Jerry if Rod did great. But Jerry's sole focus was to make sure Rod was awesome.
Yeah.
Can you imagine working for a boss that was their sole focus?
I've never had that.
Almost nobody has, right? Like that's how we fix employee experience, is that we teach our leaders to be career agents, talent agents of our employees. And that even to the point where, and Chris and I are, Chris Dunn and I are friends and you're friends. I mean, we're all kind of in that same kind of tribe together. Can I say tribe? Like people get so fussy about that nowadays.
Yeah, they do. I think I get fussy about it sometimes.
I was like, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not offended. No, I don't care.
We're in the same clique team.
We are. Group. Yeah, we're in the same squad.
Squad. Yeah. I like that one.
Yeah.
We'll use squad. And so anyways, Chris originally kind of came up with that career agent kind of concept and then shared it. And I love it because of that, because I truly believe that it's hard to get there as a leader, but if we could, like, it's transformational. And also that, even if to the point where you're so much of a career agent to your employees that you put them in a position where now they can leave your company and make more money. That's still better, right? Like that's still better.
Does it make sense at a company like an Applebee's or at a cupcake shop or at a dry cleaner? Because we talk about the professional workforce and career agents and leaders, but at some level within the workforce, we just need managers. We need people to make sure that the lights are turned on and off, nobody's stealing, that the dishes are being washed and dried properly. And we conflate, I think, management with leadership, and that's where a lot of the confusion in the workforce comes from. And do you have to be a good leader in order to be a manager?
What does it really take to lead with impact in today's ever-evolving world? Welcome to Inside the C-Suite, the podcast where influence, energy, innovation, and empathy converge. Hi, I'm Christy Honeycutt, your host. Join me as I sit down with the boldest voices in leadership, visionaries who are not just making decisions, but making a difference. In every episode, we explore the heart of leadership. How do high-performing leaders harness their energy? How do they lead with empathy without losing their edge? How do they turn disruption into innovation and pressure into purpose? You'll hear unfiltered stories of adversity, resilience, and the raw moments that shaped true influence. This isn't about perfection. It's about presence, passion, and the energetic exchange that fuels transformation. Inside the C-Suite is your invitation to lead from a deeper place with intention, connection, and courage. If you're ready to go beyond the surface and unlock what really moves leaders to action, hit subscribe and step inside. You can find us wherever you get your podcast fix. Inside the C-Suite, well, we're an energetic exchange. Let's lead with influence, live with energy, and create with empathy.
No, but you have to be a good manager to be a good leader, right? Like you can't be a leader and not know how to manage people.
Right.
So you can be a great manager and be a crappy leader, but you can't be a great leader with not be a good manager. And so here's my thing, right? I think that career agent person involves both of those, because if I'm a great career agent, what that involves is me having really, really good specific goals and measures that I'm going to put that you against, so that you know you're successful or not successful as an employee. And that's a great manager, right? That's being a great manager.
Yeah.
Because if I can't help you be great and successful in our environment, then no one's going to view you as great and successful in any environment.
Well, I think about all of the technical people that I've worked with and worked for throughout my career. You know, I have a background in pharmaceuticals and life sciences and even in the insurance industry.
So
and
you take drugs.
Yeah, I take drugs. I take a lot of drugs. You know, I'm the queen of Zyrtec here with all my cats. I worked with men and women who were not very empathetic, not very emotional, but were really great at moving the needle forward and doing great science, paying out life insurance policies, writing great underwriting statements. And these are individuals who did good work and had teams under them, but weren't compassionate. What do we do with those leaders who are currently in place who may not be good at making that connection? They don't hug, for sure. They don't hug their employees, but they're great. They're great at their jobs. Do we find a non-leadership role for them? Like, how do we work this out with these people who are in these roles?
No, I mean, we're never going to have, not everyone's going to be a great leader, right? So we're going to have organizations that just have great leaders and then you're going to have a bunch of, I mean, the majority that are just kind of good managers, solid managers, we hope, and maybe we can help them little by little become better leaders, but they're never going to be great leaders. So I'm fine with that. I think every organization has to define what that is, though. And we in HR, we kind of went to that 1 to 5 kind of Likert scale, right? Where if you're a 3 doesn't mean good. 3 means what? Average.
Well, I'm a 3.85. Wait, let's just clarify.
So you're a little slightly above average. Now, I think no one wants to be average. To me, we have to redefine that. And a 3 means you are doing the job we hired you to do. Thank you so much. We wish 100% of the people we hired did exactly what you did. That's a 3.
Yeah.
You're doing the job.
That is
now,
true.
If you want a 4, here's what a 4 looks like. If you want to be a 5, here's what a 5 looks like. I'm not going to call you great. I'm not going to call you awesome. I'm going to say, thank you so much for doing the job we hired. And if you keep doing that, you'll have a job here for life. We love that. That's fine.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the talent fix and what's broken within the hiring process. And we're also going to ask Tim a question. Is it ever okay to just show up for work and be mediocre? So we'll be right back on the Let's Fix Work podcast. Hey, everybody. You know I love to brag about my friends. I also like to listen to them. And right now, I'm listening to Jennifer McClure, host of the Impact Makers podcast. Jennifer is connecting with leaders across all industries to figure out how to make a difference at work and in the world. Here's what she's got going on.
I believe strongly that each of us has the ability and the opportunity to positively impact people through our work and through how we choose to live our lives. The truth is that you've already impacted people in this world, even if you haven't been trying.
I love what Jennifer has to say. And if you like what you're hearing right here on Let's Fix Work, you'll love what Jennifer's talking about on Impact Makers. So go to jennifermcclure.net/iTunes and subscribe today. Welcome back, everybody, to Let's Fix Work. I'm Laurie Rudiman, and I'm here today with my best friend and twinsy, Tim Sackett. Tim, are you excited? Are you happy to be on my podcast? You're guest number 4 or 5. I can't remember. It's pretty new.
Geez. I mean, I wasn't number 1, so we'll deal with that in therapy. But hey, 4 or 5 is great.
So before we get started, you're an expert media guy, podcaster, video guy. What advice do you have for me?
Oh, geez. Consistency, right? I think you know this. You taught me more than I taught you for sure. I just think there's so many people, you and I both get this, where we have so many people come to us and they go, oh, I want to write a blog, or I want to do this, and I want to be just like you, and not like me, because I mean, I'm hoping people want to be better than me, right?
Yeah. Please, come on now.
Right. Yeah. So, but a lot of it is it just being consistent. Like when Chris talked me into writing every single day, I mean, Monday through Friday, I don't usually write Saturdays and Sundays in terms of posts, but, that was almost 8 years ago. So I've been writing every single day for 8 years, which is, I didn't think I would make it a year. Like, come on.
I think your haters would probably have said the same thing, right? They didn't think you'd make it a year. So tell me, you love to write and you love to tell stories, but we all make fun of you, although it's improved, because your grammar and your spelling is kind of trashy sometimes. I don't know how else to say that. Although it is improved and you're paying attention, and now you're an author, you've written a book. So what's it like to write when you don't necessarily know all the rules of grammar?
Yeah, so I wasn't an English major. Like, I was a business guy. I like to go back because I wasn't really a business major. I was an elementary ed major.
Yeah. Most of us didn't start out doing this. We were failed teachers. And,
theoretically, I should know the basic grammar.
You should. Were you going to teach math in elementary school? Tell me it was going to be gym, something like that.
No, like in elementary school, you teach everything. So you don't have, so you're like an inch deep and a mile wide. Like you have to know, like you're teaching social studies and you're teaching science and you're everything, right? Like
you don't have to teach anybody how to use a semicolon. That's the difference. So,
yeah.
All right. So writing wasn't necessarily your jam necessarily, but you started doing it every day and you didn't care about the rules, right? You just wrote, you just told stories.
No, and again, you would have haters like yourself and other people come and just tear me apart. And it's funny because I think the trolls that come out on the grammar police, I've gotten less and less and less. Partly maybe because I've gotten better with some technology help, but also I came right out and so there's a great Gen Z piece of this. So if you think of young people now, and I'm not talking like 10-year-olds, I'm talking about 20, 22-year-olds. That's Gen Z. They're not millennials. I'm trying to change that whole perception because it drives me.
That's great. Yeah, me too.
When leaders are going, these millennials coming out of college. No, they're like 37 and getting ready to retire now. Like, stop calling these people millennials.
Yeah, millennials have their own kids.
Yeah, and so Gen Z grew up in a world of trolls, online trolls, and like the Florida shooting, we saw how those kids dealt with trolls. In a masterful way. I'm a Gen X. If a troll comes out, my first inclination is to I want to fight back. I want to blow them out of the water. And they disarm them so fast through humor, through just, hey, this is just what it is. And they just go on. They don't get impacted by it. I'm always envious and amazed by that.
Yeah,
and so I try to take on that take in writing for the grammar police and my blog, because I would do that where I'd go, hey, this is so great. Thank you so much for pointing this out, even though they were doing it in a really negative way. And I'm like, and if you ever find any others, please, feel free to send me a personal message,
Sure,
and
yeah,
let me
right.
know how crappy my grammar is.
Isn't it funny how people don't want to engage you personally, though? I would imagine you've had these experiences where you try to hug your haters, as Jay Bear would say.
Yeah.
You really try to embrace the people who are giving you negative feedback. And once you make, your arms open and you're just open-minded to them, they hide behind their screens. They won't do it. They won't come out face to face, or they don't care. They don't mind being a hater and they want to stay in the shadows. Do you have that experience as well?
Yeah. I mean, I found, that some people just want to see the world burn. Right.
Yeah.
And they have their own crappy lives. And when they decide they want to unload, it's less about me and more about them. But again, it's when it first happens, when I first started writing, Laurie, and I don't know if you found this either, is the audience was zero, right? I mean, it was a handful of people, and it was probably like my grandma and my dad and people that were like, oh my gosh, my big boy's out writing and this is so nice. And they were all fans. Like the 25 people who were reading me were fans. And all of a sudden, little by little, the audience grows and grows and grows. And all of a sudden you realize not everyone's a fan. Some people are coming to read every day for the sole purpose is they hate your guts and they can't wait for you to screw up so that they can just blow you out of the water. And that was really hard. I mean, I want to stop writing. You and I talked about this. Like it hit me hard when you had people that were like, wow, like you really are coming after me in a negative way for really no reason besides you want to see the world burn.
Well, tell me a little bit more about this book, because here you were, this crap blogger with zero people reading, and now you're about to be this New York Times bestseller of The Talent Fix, which I'm so excited. When does it come out on Amazon? I know you have an estimated date, right?
Yeah, probably middle to end of May 2018. So if it's 2020 and you're listening to this blog, or this podcast, like, hey, it's already out there. Go get it.
You'll be on your third edition. All right. So. Yeah. Major themes around fixing work, fixing recruiting, fixing talent departments, turning recruiters into talent advisors. So any universal themes that you think would resonate with my audience who's interested in fixing work?
Optimize your business with a workforce AI edge powered by Vizier. Make smarter decisions and achieve better outcomes with real-time AI insights delivered to every people leader. Explore more at visier.com.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things I get from almost every person I talk with, or, from a consulting standpoint about helping them with their recruiting, is they always come to me first, and almost always with this tech stack. It's our technology's broken, Tim. This is why we can't do stuff. And so
we can't hire more women or more minorities because we don't have any technology to help us. Okay.
Well, no, the technology they have is dated or just it sucks or whatever. And I found this a long time ago, like when I would speak to a big group of technology or talent acquisition people or HR people, and I would ask like, oh, hey, who's using X product? And like two people would raise their hands and I go, okay, you like over there, like, what do you think? And they're like, oh my gosh, we love this product. It's so great. And then the other person would be like, oh my gosh, we use this product and it sucks. Well, why is it great for one and sucks for another? And then you find out all those issues with adoption and implementation and all the stuff that takes place. And so my first recommendation to people in the book, The Talent Fix, is from a technology standpoint, first become super users of the tech you have. Don't come and ask for my help if you're not already, you've taken the technology you have to the farthest limits that it can. Because what I find is that most people come to me and want a technology recommendation, but they're only using 25% of the tech they have. And the tech they have actually is pretty good. I mean, I can give them another one that's going to be similar to the one they have. It's not going to be that big of a difference. They're going to think it's great because it's brand new and just implemented and it's the best thing since sliced bread. But guess what? There's people using your tech right now that think it's the best thing ever.
Yeah. All right. So be a super user. Any other advice or how to fix work and fix recruiting?
Yeah. We really have to put real hard measures in place, individual recruiting measures in place, not team measures. What I tend to see with corporate talent acquisition is that they'll do, days to fill. That's a worthless measure. I never have measured that. Anytime I had an executive come to me and wanted to know days to fill, I actually had to go through this entire kind of education process.
Yeah, educate my audience really quickly because days to fill, you're leaving a position open. Nobody's in it. It's important to fill that position. Days to fill is important to measure, right?
Yeah, not so much because it's measured as a talent acquisition measure, when in the reality is there's many parts of the organization that have a piece of that. My friend Jim D'Amico, who runs talent for Celanese down in Dallas, probably does the best in terms of actually measuring days to fill in a way that makes sense to the organization, and he does it as a protection for talent acquisition, not as a talent acquisition measure. Because what you find is hiring managers end up taking the majority of that days to fill because they'll sit on a resume for 4 days and then they'll say, okay, yeah, now I'm interested in this person, or let me think about it for another day. And okay, well, let's set up an interview for me. But then he's giving us days, 3 weeks down the road. And all of a sudden my days to fill for the position's at 63 days. And yet I had the position posted day 1. I had candidates day 3. I had screened and I had them day 5. The hiring manager had candidates in hand ready to interview. And I'm on day 63. I mean, it literally is a worthless measure.
So what's a better measurement? Or can you give us a couple better measurements to figure out whether or not the recruiting process is broken or how effective it is?
Yeah. So in the book, I really talk about measuring the funnel. So the recruiting funnel, like a sales funnel, is how are you measuring where you're coming in top of funnel. So where are all those candidates coming from a source standpoint? You really have to understand that. So often we see that we've misappropriated resources and funds to the wrong sources. But if you're not measuring that, you have no idea. Great example. And again, I'm not a LinkedIn hater. I'm on LinkedIn every single day. But LinkedIn for most companies.
Wait. I'm a LinkedIn hater. That site is such a pain in my ass. Just yesterday, I got tagged in a post where people are asking me to rate them and rate their LinkedIn profile. So they're like putting a post up there citing my name and saying, come and look and tell me how to improve my LinkedIn profile. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? This sucks. And why am I getting mad about this? I don't even know. Just the whole vortex of LinkedIn pisses me off. But all right, go ahead.
So I actually use LinkedIn every day, multiple times a day, from a business standpoint, from a social media standpoint, whatever it might be. But what I find when I go into talent acquisition shops is it's their number one spend from an actual cost.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. But then when you measure the actual source of hire, a lot of times it's 5, 6, 7 in terms of actual source. And then you go back and go, well, your number one source is employee referrals. And then you go look at the spend and it'll be like the 10th spend. Like they spend nothing on employee referrals, even though it's their number one thing. And then people will go, well, what should we give more for bonuses? I'm like, no, you should actually automate that and have employee referral automation and spend on some money on some technology and increase it and get 40% more referrals. And if those are your best hires kind of thing.
Yes.
So a lot of it is, so it's measuring the funnel when you come down like, okay, so I sent, so many resumes over to a hiring manager. How many did they actually want to interview? Because there's a percentage there that makes sense. If I sent 10 over and they only want to interview 1, then it's a 10% measure. That's not very good. No. They should want to interview all 10. And if they don't, why? Am I sending crap? Am I not doing, is the quality of candidate bad? Things of that sort. So it's a lot about getting that. So here's what happens though. The measures there's a reason you have the measures. Is because what you'll find instantly is about half the people you have on your recruiting team don't want to recruit. They want that big check. They want to make $85,000 a year as a corporate recruiter, but they don't want to recruit. They want to administer a recruiting process.
Oh, that's a really interesting differentiation. So what's the difference between recruiting and being a recruiting administrator?
A recruiting administrator post and prays, right? They post a job and then they pray for someone to show up and then they just funnel that resume onto the hiring manager who does the actual screening.
Yeah, that sounds like a great job.
It's a great job. If you can get that job for like 6 figures, I would take that job today.
Me too.
Because I would show up for 40 hours. I would drink coffee. I would be the best employee ever.
I would shop on Zappos all day. Oh my God, it would be awesome. Yeah, I've done that job.
I've done that job. I've actually fired a lot of people that have done that job for me.
So what is a real recruiter do?
Well, you're measuring them. They're actually out there hunting. They're not farming, right? So they're actually out there calling candidates, not only the ones that apply to jobs, but they're going out on sites like LinkedIn or Indeed or CareerBuilder or Monster, all those ones. They're going into their database and trying to find people that applied to a job similar a year ago, but we didn't ever call. And they're actually calling them and saying, hey, are you interested? Most people would say, oh, well, that sounds like a staffing company. No, that's real recruiting. And you should do that as a corporate talent acquisition leader and have your team do that. And what we find, and again, so what I find is like 90% of corporate talent acquisition recruiters are administrators, not recruiters. So it's not like an uncommon thing. And so then when you start to go and say, okay, now we're truly going to become a recruiting practice, you end up losing about half your team.
Yeah, your competencies and your requirements just totally change. That makes sense. Absolutely.
Well, and you either select them out or they self-select out, because they'll go, wait a minute, I know of another really easy job in the organization that pays like this that I'm going to go take because I'm a recruiter.
Well, that leads me to the next question and the final question for our podcast today around mediocrity, because many of us show up for work every day and we work our 40 hours a week and we go home and we have hobbies and we have lives and we're doing the bare minimum, right? We're not going to get fired anytime soon. But we have friends, Timmy, that believe that you must show up to work every day and be exceptional. Where do you fall on that scale?
So I'm going to share a story because that's what I do, right? When I was at Applebee's, they had a great way. The Applebee's leadership team had a great way of defining this. And they would say, we need to give those employees who believe that they just want to show up and work 40 hours and go home and just be average, we need to give them a gift. And you're like, what's the gift? The gift is, how great is it when I come to work and I feel so motivated and I want to excel and I want to be the best me I can be. If I'm in that work environment, holy crap, that is the gift of life.
Wow.
And if your people don't have that, if you have an employee that doesn't have that, you need to give them that gift. And what is that gift? You fire them and let them go find that, because that's truly what life is all about. So I will say I'm on the side of, yeah, you should be wanting to be exceptional in what you do. And if you don't have that, give yourself a gift and quit and go find it. Now, that was hard during the recession to say that, right? Because some of us had to be in jobs we didn't like. And I'm one of those people. I was in a job, not with Applebee's, I was in a job in a health system that was just confining to me that I hated. And I found something I loved, right? I found writing, I found speaking, I found all of this stuff with blogging. So I found a way to engage myself. And to me, that was the gift I gave myself, was I found something to make myself get through that experience to get on the other end of the experience where I am today, where I love being what I'm doing.
Amazing. Tim Sackett, not only are you America's best recruiter, you're also a motivational speaker. How about that? We're going to see you on the circuit with Tony Robbins. I can't wait.
Hey, I'll be there, man. Just pay me that Tony Robbins money.
Yeah, we're going to be walking on hot coals with you and learning about recruiting. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And where can everybody find you on the internet, Timmy?
Just Google Tim Sackett. I'm like the first 100 pages. There's me and a truck driver chaplain. I'm not the truck driver chaplain, even though that would be super awesome if I was the truck driver chaplain. I'm just Tim Sackett, timsackett.com. That's the brand.
Man, we got to have you meet that truck driver chaplain. I want to see a video of that.
I think he's in Wisconsin. So next time you're up there, we should go over and track him down.
Yeah, that's right. We'll need him to broker a peace talk with my family. That's another story, though. All right, Tim Sackett, thank you so much for joining us today on Let's Fix Work. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Tim Sackett. Tim is the author of the forthcoming book called The Talent Fix, which will be available in May of 2018. And as you heard from the conversation, Tim and I are dear friends. We go way back. And out of all the people in the world, I can absolutely vouch for Tim's character, his integrity, and his big heart. One thing that's true about Tim Sackett is that although he's a recruiter, he's not lazy. He cares about people and invests in them on an individual level. And you can't meet with Tim Sackett without getting a big hug. So I hope you take the time to find him on social media. And while you're at it, connect with me at L. Ruderman or Let's Fix Work. Also, if you like this podcast, please rate it and review it. If you don't like this podcast, please don't review it. That's not how this works. The attention economy is weird. What I would love for you to do if you've got negative feedback or just honest feedback is to send me an email at hello@letsfixwork.com and give it to me straight in my inbox. And that's all for now on today's episode. I'll see you again next time on Let's Fix Work.
If you're ready to make a real change in your workplace, start today by subscribing to this podcast and help us get the word out by leaving a review.